Okay. Max, have you heard of an anime called Haikyuu?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. Haikyuu is a volleyball anime. It is spelled
Okay.
Haikyu.
Okay.
Um,
I know about this
you know
because
about this?
well, when it released, I was in my anime phase and went to conventions. I saw a lot of cosplay of this, so I'm
Okay.
aware of this anime.
Okay. So I'm still on my sports anime bullshit right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I watched through all of Haikyuu, and I
How
I
long
love
is
this
it?
anime. It is about 100 episodes long. It is
Okay.
4 seasons. And the seasons are kind of variable. Uh, they're three of the seasons are about 25, but like a couple of I think some of them are like 28 ish, and then one of them's 25. It doesn't matter. It's close to 100 episodes long.
Okay. Okay.
Um, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
I'm not going to talk about like the entirety of this anime because that would be far too much. We'd be going
Mm-hmm.
on forever about this. But what I want to talk about is just kind of the setup and kind of introduce people to this because I really enjoyed it. And I think if you like shonen anime, and more specifically, if you like the kind of shonen anime that's specifically about sports, you're going to like this one. Because it doesn't do anything particularly new, in my opinion. But what it does is takes that shonen sports anime formula, or just the shonen formula in general,
Mm-hmm.
and condenses it down and makes it very precise and very neat. And that makes it very, very fun to watch. Um, so you start out the anime and you're following two main characters. You have the main character, Hinata. He's a short little redhead guy, and the
Mm-hmm.
other main character is called Kageyama, and he is a tall black-haired kid.
Okay.
And he is called the king of the court, and he's called that because um he's he was really good at volleyball in junior high, but he was so good that none of his other classmates were able to keep up with what he was trying to do. So
Okay.
he's a setter. So
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy who's trying to put the ball up in the air so that the spikers can get their attack on the opponent. And
Mm-hmm.
he was so good at that his classmates weren't able to keep up with him. So he would set the ball in places where they weren't able to hit it, and he ended up getting like mad at his fellow players, and they basically abandoned him in the middle of a
Oh
game.
no.
And so he got this reputation of being like mean and angry towards all of his fellow players because they couldn't keep up. So the show starts out with this tournament, and Hinata has never played in a tournament before, and he's also really good, but he's a really good spiker. Despite his
Mm-hmm.
short size, he can jump really high, and that's
Okay.
his special skill. But he's also really, really fast
Okay.
and really accurate. So, but he doesn't have a team in his junior high school. So he goes into this tournament with players who are from like the basketball team who like they know how to play volleyball, but they're not volleyball players.
Yeah.
And he ends up going up against Kageyama, and he gets absolutely destroyed in this
Yeah.
tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Just loses completely. Then we skip ahead a little bit and they go to high school, and this is where the show really starts to take off. And it turns out that Hinata and Kageyama are going to the same high school.
So they can
So,
be on the same team,
and now
right?
they're going to be on the same team. But Hinata kind of hates Kageyama because he destroyed him so bad in that
Mm-hmm.
junior high tournament. So, essentially the entire first arc and the entirety of the first season is these new freshmen coming in, both being really, really good, but not really getting along with each other.
Yeah.
And so the whole first arc is like basically the team trying to get together. We could get into all the other characters. I'm not going to because there's like
Mm-hmm.
15 characters on this volleyball team, and there's
Yeah.
not enough time for all of that.
And does the anime stay pretty grounded?
Yes,
It's just volleyball, right?
it's just volleyball. It it goes into so it does the thing kind of like what Hajime no Ippo does, where they kind of personify what players are doing through like some animation, like when Hinata jumps really high, like he'll sometimes like have like kind of wings or feathers flying off from the back of him, but they're not actually there. It's not like he's actually growing feathers and flying. So the sports portion of it stays very grounded, and the actions that everybody's taking stays very grounded in the actual sport. Like nothing supernatural is happening. So there's let me take a sidestep there. There's another anime that I think I've talked about a little bit in the past called Captain Tsubasa, which is a soccer anime, which I love the video game for, and that anime does get a little supernatural with like their powers. That gets a little bit crazy and out of hand. So if you're familiar with that, it's not quite that level. But so let's go back for a second. So these two, they end up on this same volleyball team, and they have to try and learn to work together. So the entire first season is basically about them trying to learn to work together. And the school that they're at is basically this fallen powerhouse. Like it used to be 10 years ago, maybe even 5 or 6 years ago in the story of the anime, a school that was constantly a contender at the nationals. But their coach retired, and a bunch of the really good players, moved out of high school or went on to national teams or whatever. So it's not just a story about these two trying to get back, like learning to work together. It's also a story about like the school trying to reclaim its former glory. And it's just a lot of fun. And I'm gonna leave a link to this one scene. It's not gonna make a whole lot of sense not having seen the show, but you get into like the scene takes place a little bit into the second season, and they lose a tournament, and they're all feeling kind of down, but they get a new coach in, and they're trying to work themselves back up and get better for this big tournament later on in the school year, and they're trying to get to the nationals, and they're doing some training, and they end up meeting this kid while they're out running, who goes to another school in their province. And so they do some running with him, and they end up back at his school. And this school is like the top school in the province. It is the best school. They have the best volleyball team in the province. And he's basically like, you guys are nothing. Nothing can grow from the concrete. You guys are basically worthless. And they get so mad at him. And it's like, it's this perfect setup where you meet the enemy, and then they're gonna be the primary villain of this arc. And it sets them up so well. So the scene that I want you to see, you can maybe watch it later if you want to. Essentially, like, they're talking, and he basically says that, and they're standing right outside of the gym, and like a volleyball comes flying out of the gym, and this other student who's like the best in the province, like I said, he jumps up and he tries to like grab the ball, and Hinata jumps in front of him because he's really fast. It could jump really high, grabs the ball out from before the other guy can, and oh god, what's his quote? He says something like, well, I am from the concrete, and we're still going to beat you. And it's just this fucking hype ass moment.
Nice. You just embrace their role.
Yeah. And honestly, the whole show is just full of these hype moments like that. And there's a bunch of great other characters. You meet all these other teams that they're going to end up having to fight against in Tokyo. So there's this whole like training montage. Not really a montage, but this whole like a whole bunch of episodes that take place where they're just training for this next tournament, and they get back in contact with some old schools that they used to train with all the time because of their new coach that came in, and so you end up meeting all of these other students, and they're all, got weird styles. You can tell like who's the main characters in each of those schools, and it's just a lot of fun, man. I really, really enjoyed the hell out of this one.
Well, yeah, you just ran through it in like 2 weeks.
I did not run through it in 2 weeks. I've been watching this one for a little while now. Actually, I finished it.
Okay.
I finished it before our last episode with that we recorded with Guido. But since we had an extra guest on, I didn't want to bring a long anime discussion into the beginning of the show.
But it does sound really hype.
It is. It's really good. So in my sports anime ranking right now of the last 3 that I've watched, I think I still like Hajime no Ippo the best, the boxing anime.
Yeah.
I think I like this a little bit better than I like Slam Dunk.
Okay.
And Slam Dunk was really good. I like this one so much
so far.
What's that?
No dud so far.
No dud so far. I'm in the middle of another one that's about golf, and I think I'll talk to you about that one next time.
Yeah, cool. While you were talking, I was checking if there were any mini golf anime, and it doesn't exist. That I just found something that an anime about it doesn't exist.
That's actually surprising.
I think mini golf is not really a thing in Japan, though. So
that's fair.
That's probably why.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that could be.
That's still special.
Yeah.
So you liked it so much that
I liked it so much that about a little over a month ago, I had gone to the Kansas City Comic-Con and I bought a print. And let me turn around and grab that really quick.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of glare on that.
So for people who are listening to the podcast, it's just a great action shot of all the characters playing.
Yes.
Well, playing. They're kind of playing volleyball. It's really good.
Yes. It's got 3, 7, 8, like the 8 main characters from their team, and probably talk into the microphone while I'm trying to talk.
This is probably your worst podcast moment, not talking the microphone while showing stuff to the camera.
Perfect audio listening, right?
We're professionals. And did you have any experience with volleyball before watching this, or you just grabbed the anime because it looked nice?
So I had no real experience with volleyball. Like I had played it a little bit in high school. Not like just in a general like gym class where we would play random sports, 2 weeks of volleyball and then 2 weeks of football and then some tennis and whatever. So no real experience of like actually playing the sport in any sort of competitive capacity. Never watched it competitively. Never paid attention to it in any way. Yeah. I basically had just gone online and in a different Discord and was like, "Hey, I just got done watching both Hajime no Ippo and Slam Dunk, and I've been in the mood for more sports anime. What do people suggest?" And I got a bunch of suggestions. This was the one that stood out to me from what I saw. This is fairly new. It came out in like 2015, I think is when the manga started. So the animation is like super smooth. It's very modern in its styling. Yeah. Looks really, really good. But it's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it.
Cool. I will keep that in mind when I ever watch more anime.
But we are not the anime podcast. We are the Trash Station podcast, the gaming podcast, all about weird, unknown, and forgotten video games. I'm your host, Chris, here with my co-host, Max. Max, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. And I'm not at the right place in the sheet. Oh yeah, thanks, Chris. And in our friend circles, we're known to play mostly trashy games. We're talking anime games, retro games you've never heard of, the NDS stuff on itch.io, and everything in between.
And as usual, we will add those games to a tier list that we call the Landfill, chat about creative hobbies, and shout out some of our favorite content creators on the internet.
Yeah.
And Max, it looks like we have the same number of games to talk about today.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and go first, since I've just been talking a little bit?
Yeah, good. I'm gonna start with Beardblade and a little bit of context. So 2 weeks ago, right after we recorded, you already know that story, but our listeners don't, probably. Anyway, right after we stopped recording, I went and walked the dog, and I felt really tired. I was like, oh man, that was a big week. I guess I should get some sleep. So walk the dog for like an hour, come back home, and I just crashed. Man, my stomach started to hurt so bad. I had to sleep in the living room because I knew I wasn't gonna sleep a lot that night. And in fact, I didn't sleep a lot that night. I will spare you the details, but I had to go to the toilet many times for different reasons, and that was not fun. That was my first time. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said, I bet that wasn't fun.
Yeah, it wasn't. And that was like my first time I was really sick in a while. So yeah, Saturday, the day after, I just stayed in my living room for the whole day, watched a lot of Invincible. I could talk about Invincible another time, but the show is great. And I had a little bit of energy to play a little bit of video games. And I decided to start a platformer that I had bought like 2 months ago, but this game released in 2021, and it had been on my wish list for like 4 years now, and it's called Beardblade. Have you ever heard of Beardblade?
Other than you sending me a picture of the character, no, I had never heard of Beardblade.
Okay. Yeah, from what I've seen, it did like maybe 20K in terms of sales in the last 4 years since it's released on Steam. So it's not the most unknown indie game in the world, but it didn't sell a lot. And it's a 2D platformer. And when I say it's a 2D platformer, it's like pretty much one of the most basic 2D platformers that I played in a while. It's like playing a 2D platformer from the Super Nintendo. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's what it looked like. That's what I wanted to play. It felt really cozy, but it's not doing anything really special. So the story of the game is that you're playing as Brannigan? I don't know. I'm gonna call him Branny. And he's a dude with a big beard, and some monsters just stole his sheeps, and if I remember correctly, it's because one of his sheep ate a magic orb or something like that. It doesn't really matter. He lost his sheep. He goes on an island, and then there's a wizard that gives him power that uses beard as an attack. So that's why it's called Beardblade. So basically, you can turn your beard into a blade, and you can attack everything around you. And then you can also unlock other powers, like the power to glide after you jump using your beard. You can also use your beard to transform like a big pile driver, a big butt stump attack kind of thing. You can also grab stuff in the air and then use that to launch yourself higher up. So you're using your facial hair in many different ways, and yeah, it's a 2D platformer. I don't know, so I will start with what the game does well. The music is really, really good. It feels like classic Nintendo music. Like some of those tracks could have been in a Donkey Kong Country game. It's really fitting for those kinds of games. It's catchy, but there's something they don't do really well with the music, and I will touch on that in a bit. Visually, it's really good sprite work. It looks like a Super Nintendo game. Like I said, it's maybe even like early PS1, like those 2D platformers on the PS1. It's not in 4:3, it's 16:9, and the animation is super fluid. The characters have a lot of expressions. It's just great sprite work. Like in 2025, well, it released in 2021, but like in the 2020s, that should be like the base of what sprite work should look like if you're an indie dev.
Right.
And I like the structure of the game. So the game has a bunch of levels, and each level you can either play it during the day or during the night. So what does that mean? It just means that when you start the level, there's two paths. Often it's a door or continuing forward or going left or going right. And when you're in the day, you can go to the left. And when it's the night, you can go to the right. So it makes it that you can just play like half the levels to beat the game. But if you want to go for 100%, you will not really replay the same level twice. It's just like the same setting, but it's two different levels in the same setting. So I thought that was kind of clever because it just lets you choose what kind of levels you want to play. If one level is too difficult for you, you can all choose like the other version of the level and just roll with that and beat the game the way you want. And yeah, I think that's what I like about the game. It looks good, it sounds good, and I like this. Oh yeah, and the levels aren't like too long. It's maybe 3 minutes to go through a level, and
that's not bad.
No, it's like basic. It's fine. It's not too quick. It's not too long. It's just the right length. That's perfect for me. A lot of like newer platformers and like even Nintendo platformers, I feel like the levels just go on forever, and especially like the latest Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. Like those levels take like 8-9 minutes to go through, and there's like 9 different collectibles to find, and you don't get like an indicator that you're missing like the third collectible. You're just missing one of the collectibles, and like skimming through 9 minutes of fast gameplay, you can easily spend like 20 minutes in a level just searching for a collectible. And yeah, that's what I like in the game. I think that's the wrong way to go for 2D platformers. But the game does a lot of little things that are subpar. So I don't know if you're familiar with like terms relating to 2D platformers, but there's two basic things that the game doesn't do. It doesn't buffer inputs, and it doesn't have coyote time. That means that if you're like jumping and that you're about to land and press the button to jump again like 2 frames before hitting the ground, you won't jump. You really have to hit the ground and then jump. And most 2D platformers will implement buffering inputs so that you can press the buttons a little bit after, a little bit before, so that it feels more fluid, because like we're not robots. Like a couple frames of difference, it shouldn't matter when you're playing the game, and the game doesn't do that. So you can miss some jumps because you're used to just time it differently, because most games are more lenient than that. And coyote time is the same, but it's when you leave the platform. So if you're about to fall off the platform, usually you have a couple frames where you can still jump even if you've already left the platform. But this game doesn't do that. You really have to jump before leaving the platform, and that, like, you get used to it. It doesn't take too much time, but it's some kinds of frustration that make the game seem a little bit more amateurish. Like they could have tweaked those controls for a little bit, and it would have been way better.
It sounds like the way that it wants to control almost seems like it wants to be more of a precision platformer, but the way you're describing it doesn't seem like it is that more precision type of platforming.
Yeah, I think you could say, you can think about that, but even then I think precision platformers also do those things. It's just like, it's the difference between someone just coding his first 2D platforming game and someone actually knowing about game design and how to code a good 2D platformers. Like it just it's in the little stuff, right? When you're playing a game, often what makes the game good, it's the thing that you don't think about, like how the RNG favors you and stuff like that. And that's the part of 2D platforming that I've played enough to know that, yeah, it's a bit off. The guy could have used a little bit more time just to refine the controls. And yeah, there are other little things like that. Like when you pick up some of the collectibles, there's a little jingle because you collected something. And then every time that you collect the thing, the music restarts from the beginning. And there are 5 collectibles per level, and the levels aren't super long. So you're hearing the beginning of every song like 6 different times in a level. So that is also something that you should have realized, that it's a bit annoying. And
right.
Yeah. And the other last thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is that each level ends with like a little boss fight. It's not really a boss fight because you cannot get hurt. So it's just like a little mini game where you have to kill a goblin to get one of your sheep. And it's just a bit annoying. Like every time you're ending the level, once you get the ground pound attack, you can just like ground pound near them. They don't move and they die. So it's just like a little nuisance. You're just losing 10 seconds every time you're finishing the level because you have to kill that goblin, while you could have just grabbed your sheep. So yeah. But like the level design the level design is great. There's a ton of gimmicks. There's a level that I really liked where when you go in the level for during the night, you get absorbed in a TV, and then you're playing a level in an 8-bit version of the game with like a more simplified control schemes and completely new 8-bit sprites. That was super fun. There are a couple elevator levels, stuff that's shooting from the background, like in DKC 3. The boss fights also are pretty good. There's like nothing too difficult or too annoying. So yeah, it's a 2D platformer, and it reminded me a lot of like Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country. Just doing those basics platformer things from the Super Nintendo era really well, except for like those details. It doesn't the devil in the details. Those details aren't super good, but the base of the game, like the controls are fine. Ultimately, the difficulty is perfect. It's never too hard, never too easy. You're always engaged, and there's a lot of different great gimmicks. And yeah, I was in the mood for a 2D platformer. I love 2D platformers, and this one it satisfied my itch of 2D platforming.
Okay.
Any questions, comments?
It sounds like it's just kind of fine.
Yeah.
Is that where it's gonna go on the list?
Yeah, Beard Blade is gonna go in. This is fine. If it had if the controls were a bit better, and if what you were collecting meant a little bit more. Like you're collecting coins for like 100%. You're collecting cards and you're collecting CDs. And the coins don't unlock anything. So you're just collecting it for the 100%. And that percentage doesn't even appear on the file select or anything. So you're just collecting it to say that you're collected. There's no different endings and there's nothing. There aren't even achievements on Steam. So there's not really a point to do the 100% except saying that you did it. The chests gives you like only flavor text from the different enemies in the game. Like it doesn't matter. You're just saying them in the pause menu. So like whatever. And the music, I think it's for the sound test, so you could listen to all the different music in the games, but the sound test didn't work for me. So like beating the game was fun, but completing it, I did beat it 100%, but it didn't really matter. I just the added challenge of finding everything. But other than that, yeah. Spirit Blade, it's a fine 2D platformer. If you like 2D platformers, it's a 2D platformer. That's what it is. It's doing the basics just fine, and it's a little bit unremarkable. Yeah.
All right. It sounds fine. It sounds like a game that I probably won't ever play.
Yeah, no, especially since you're not a 2D platforming fan. So yeah, it's for people that like the genre and just want to play a different one.
Okay,
that's basically it. It would be like in the middle of the pack of all the Super Nintendo games. Like there are a ton of those on the Super Nintendo, and this is basically one more.
So it's probably like right about there with like Real Monsters or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. People heard of that game. Nobody really remembers that game, but
no, you can buy it for $10, and it's like this was fun for 40 minutes, and then I'm done with it. And
and someone played it when they were 6 years old, and they have really fond memories, and it's their favorite game just because of that.
Right. Yeah. All right. Perfect. I'm gonna touch on a game that I talked about a bit last episode. And that is South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Oh yeah.
I've played more of this. I thought I was getting to the end of the game.
And
then something happened, and I did not get to the end of the game. So, last time I was talking about the game, I thought that the big bad was Captain Chaos, Butters' alternate, like his superhero or super villain persona. Yeah. So I thought Captain Chaos was going to be the big bad of the game. Turns out I was wrong. I played about another 10 to 15 hours of this, and I've been doing a bunch of the like side missions and stuff, so it's not like I've just been doing the main game. But I beat Captain Chaos, and then the game kept going. So after you beat Captain Chaos, it turns into this battle between your faction, which is called Coon and Friends. So you as the new kid join up with Cartman, who's the Coon, and you're on his team at the beginning, and then you end up having to fight against. I have the name written down here. Where is it? They are called the Freedom Pals, which is led by Timmy, the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And Timmy. And he doesn't really do you rarely hear him do the voice in this because he's basically like a Professor Xavier type. And he uses telepathy, so like he'll put his fingers to his head and like he'll talk to the other characters in a normal voice, except for the new kid. So like when he tries to talk to the new kid, he just doesn't hear anything, and then Timmy's like, "What's going on?" Like you can see the look of confusion on his face. It's great. But so the Freedom Pals is led by Timmy, and it also has Stan and Kenny in that group. So you end up having to like fight with them, and then you like join up with them for a little while, and then It turns out that the actual big bad of this game is Mitch Connor. Do you remember who Mitch Connor is? Without Googling it?
Okay, is that the football player that had to hit his dad?
No.
Okay.
That is not. I think that guy's name was Mitch also. Mitch Connor is Cartman's left hand. You remember when he drew the face on his hand?
Okay.
It was Jennifer Lopez for a little while. That character, Cartman's left hand, is the bad guy of this. And when you find that out, everybody's like, what the fuck, Cartman? And he's like, it's not me. It's not me. I'm not doing anything. But you keep seeing these videos of his hand. It's obviously just Cartman's voice.
Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, this game continues to just entertain, like South Park references all over the place, like all kinds of good stuff. The jokes are still funny. I'm still having a really good time with it. I have my entire team of superheroes. I have everybody unlocked at this point. To unlock, I don't remember if I talked about it last time, but you can have up to 4 characters on your team when you end up going into a battle. So you have you can never change you from being out of your team as the new kid. You're always on your team, and then you can have up to 3 other characters, and that's they're like Cartman and Craig and Tweak and Clyde, Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Wendy. You end up getting Butters also, so you get Captain Chaos on your team, which is really fun.
Nice.
There might be one more. I don't remember. But to recruit some of the other characters, you have to do side quests. And I just wanted to point out this one side quest that I thought was really fun. So Wendy, her superhero name is Call Girl, which is funny because it's a play on words. It's like a hooker, except her superpower is that she has a bunch of phones on her, and she uses the phones to do her special attacks and stuff.
That's good.
Which is funny. To get her, to unlock her onto your team, you have to go to the phone store. It's called the D-Mobile store. And the guys inside the D-Mobile store were replaced by crab people. So you end up having to fight the crab people.
Wow.
It's just stuff like that continues to make this game so much fun. And then there's 2 main collectibles that you have to collect that are, for the most part, completely unnecessary, but I forgot to touch on one of the collectibles last time, and that is you can find Yowie of Clyde and Tweak all throughout South Park.
This is so dumb.
It is. It's so dumb. And it's drawn like actual anime style, so like not the little round-headed kids. It's Clyde and Tweak drawn like normal, 5.5 foot tall anime boys, fucking like hugging on each other and almost kissing, but not quite. It's so good.
That's good.
Yeah, so South Park continues to just be an absolute joy to play. I don't remember where I'm not done. I'm close to being done. I can feel that I'm really close to being done because like I'm actually going after Mitch Connor now. So that's my. It feels like that's the last main quest. If they throw another curveball in there, I doubt I'll have another 10 hours of this game.
Yeah. I did Google the football player. He was called Scott Tenorman.
Scott Tenorman, yeah. That's a fucking dark episode.
Yeah. That would have been a twist. Like just him coming back as a super villain. That could have actually worked.
That actually would be really good because one of the main enemy types that you have to fight in this game are the 6th graders, and he was a 6th grader, so that would have been fun. But no, they did not bring him back. I guess they thought the making him eat his parents was dark enough already.
Yeah. I think we can leave him alone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't remember where I put this on the tier list last time. I don't remember if you sent me the tier list. So
I was kind of dying. So
yeah, no, perfectly understandable.
Do
you mind pulling that up for me really quick and letting me know?
I'm clicking on it, and I think actually lost the tier list. I think I forgot to download it. Oh no.
Oh shit.
So
okay.
I don't know. We will have to check the last episode, but
yeah, I would have to listen to the recording. I'm kind of torn on where I want to put this, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Like, I'm super, super hype on it. It's either a great game or an absolute banger. Like, it's either at the very, very top of this, or it's like, you know what? It probably deserves to be in our A tier as an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. S tier. Sorry, S tier as an absolute banger.
Cool.
Because it is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast, and every time I see a reference to a South Park gag, and even when it's not a reference, when it's just a new gag, that's pretty funny. Like there's multiple times where I have laughed at my TV while playing this game, which is a feat.
I haven't heard you say, I think, anything bad about the game so far. So
no, I don't think I have anything bad to say about this game.
Oh yeah, I think it's deserving.
Yeah,
the absolute banger rank.
It's if you like South Park, this is a must-play game.
Oh,
I don't know if I like it better than Stick of Truth though. Stick of Truth is really good.
Yeah. it really kickstarted the idea, and it also has like the bonus of being the first. Like,
yeah.
It's more surprising when it's the first time.
Yeah, for sure. It's also made by Obsidian, so maybe I got a little bit of bias there, whereas this one's just Ubisoft. I don't know. They're both great. So play them if you like South Park. These are 100% worth playing. I'm kind of mad at myself that I put off playing them for so long.
But you finally got to it. Yeah, like you were just waiting for the right time in your life.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Max, what do you got for us?
Yeah. I'm looking at my list, and I'm realizing I've only played platformers this time around, which I hadn't done in a while, playing so many platformers. So I will touch on two rebeats that I've done in the past 2 weeks. And my first one is Donkey Kong Country 2. So last week, after I was done being dead, I went to Montreal for an event, and I'm going to touch on that later during our hobby time. But while I was at my friend's place, just chilling out, we pulled up the Switch and played some Donkey Kong Country 2 because it's my favorite game, and we were in the mood to play some 2D platformers. And so the first night, I got like through half the game. I ended up in, I think, the third world. Near the end of the third world, I went to bed. And then the next day, the following day, I was just chilling at the house before going to my event. And I decided to just go ahead and beat the game because I know that game like the back of my hand. And it only took like 3 hours to go through it. And I'm assuming everybody knows what Donkey Kong Country 2 is. You're playing as Diddy and Dixie. It's a fantastic 2D platformer. The music is incredible. The graphics is just so nostalgic to me. So, yeah, just saying that I've beaten that game once again. I beat it like once or twice every year, and it's still an absolute banger to me. Every time, it just... I think it's my favorite game of all time. That's what I've always said. There's a middle section of the game that some of the levels are kind of boring. There are a couple of gimmicks that I don't really like. One where there's a lot of wind going from left to right. Another one where you have to just wait on balloons. And there are a couple of annoying levels. I think the most annoying levels of the trilogy are in this game. But the highs are just so high. Like the good levels are so good that it doesn't really matter. Just a couple of duds in the middle of everything. So yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2, absolute banger. Have you ever beaten any of the Donkey Kong Country games? Nope. I know that. No, yeah. I assumed so. Yeah. they can be pretty difficult though.
Yeah, they're tough. I've played all three of them.
Okay.
Never beaten any of them.
Okay. I mean, maybe we could change that this summer. I could help you.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. We might do that.
That would be fun. Okay. So the other rebeat is A Slight Chance of Sawblades. It's one of the first games I brought to the show, and I just fell in the game once again. I just started. I will work on my ice scores for a little bit. So as a reminder, it's the arcade game where you have to jump over Sawblades to eliminate them and then get some points. And I just couldn't stop for like a couple of days. I was just playing it nonstop. I did not beat my main high score, but I did beat my barrage mode high score. It's the newest mode where the Sawblades don't disappear, so they just keep bouncing, and you can clear some blades like every 20 points. So okay. I did upgrade my ice score a little bit on that one, and I actually. So when you play the game, 1/10 of your points are converted into tickets, and then you can use tickets to unlock new characters, new blades, and new backgrounds. And I had collected everything on the main version of the game because I played a ton when the game released 2 years ago. But I'm now playing on the Apple Arcade version, and I actually unlocked everything on that version too. So I just played for like thousands worth of tickets, and that means I played for like tens of thousands of points because it's a 1/10 ratio. So yeah. A Slashes of Sawblades, it still goes into absolute banger. I just replayed some of my favorites, and they're my favorites for a reason. Those games, they get me. They really get me. Yeah.
All right. Next game that I want to touch on, I talked also a little bit about last episode, but I wasn't very far in it, and that was Gungrave GORE.
Yeah.
And I finished that game today before we started recording.
Oh, wow.
So, this is the modern, it was released for the PS5 and Steam, and I think maybe the Xbox also, but the super modern Gungrave game. Like I said last time, I'm a huge fan of the original PS2 Gungrave game. I love both of them. I love the first one more than the second one. Gungrave Overdose is great. It's a little long, and I think it suffers a little bit from being they tried to add more to the game that didn't need more. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Gungrave GORE is great if you like Gungrave.
It's more Gungrave.
It is 100% just more Gungrave. It is, like I said last time, you're walking down hallways, you are shooting guys. Every once in a while you'll get into a room where there's no door forward, and a bunch of dudes will just be coming in through other doors and stuff. Once you kill all of them, a door will open, and a big yellow arrow will be pointing over that door, saying, "Hey, fucking come here," because there's no collectibles, there's no bullshit, there's no ammo, there's no anything that you need to find in any other parts of these games. Keep going forward, keep killing. That's the point.
That's
so. Yeah. It's a no bullshit, just action game, and that's it. And I love it for that. It's great. I also said last time that Gungrave survives on the strength of its boss fights, and I think like half of the boss fights in this game are a little weak. I fought 3 different versions of this same kind of large monster guy, and it was a pretty boring fight, if I'm being honest with you. Like, he has like slam the ground attack that you have to jump over, and attack where he like charges at you, and you just have to dodge to the side, and then just keep shooting him. There were, though, a few boss fights that I thought were really, really fun and actually kind of changed the way that you had to play the game a little bit, it almost felt like. So, did you ever play Nier or Nier Automata?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever seen anything about those games?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So a couple of the boss fights do something similar to that, where it basically turns the arena into a bullet hell, and the bosses are shooting a bunch of energy balls at you. So you're having to dodge out of the way of these energy balls. And that's why I wanted to compare it to Nier. You could also compare it to like Returnal on PS5 if you wanted to.
Okay.
Which I've not played. I've wanted to, though. But adding like that slight thing in there of these like bullet hell-ish patterns that you have to avoid, while still just being the dumb action game where you're shooting a whole bunch and building up meter to use special attacks, made those boss fights so much more interesting than big dumb monster that you just have to dodge out of the way.
Yeah.
The story, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's Gungrave.
Yeah.
I've still never watched the anime. I probably should, and then I would actually care about the story. But for the game, like, I watched all the cutscenes and like, it's fine. Bad guys doing bad things with a thing called seed, and you don't really know what seed is because they never tell you exactly what it is. It's like alien juice power. It doesn't matter. It makes things into monsters, and you have to kill the things infected with the seed. That's the point. Yeah. So I found like a pretty good loadout with your special attacks, so you can have up to 4 specials keybound onto the essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 keys on the numpad, and I found a good mix of specials you can unlock. Like, there's like 15 or 20 different special attacks that you can purchase through your points that you get from beating each of the levels. But what I ended up doing was, like, I picked two attacks that were like attacks that attack straight forward, but one that did only a little bit of damage and only cost 1 special point, and then one that did big damage but cost 3 special points, and then 2 AoE attacks, and both kind of the same thing. So when I was surrounded by a bunch of enemies, if it was a bunch of weaker enemies, I could use the weaker version of that and AoE everything around me. If I was surrounded by stronger enemies, use the stronger version of the AoE. And that loadout worked. Yeah, it worked great. It's, I don't have much else to say about it, if I'm being honest with you. It's Gungrave. Like I said, it's walking down hallways and shooting a bunch of guys.
It's a bit like a third person run and gun. So
yes.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Might as well be. It might as well be Gunstar Heroes.
Yeah.
Except in third person.
Cool.
So run forward and shoot all the things until all the things stop moving.
Yeah, let's go.
To me, this is not going to make its way into absolute banger. It's going to stay in great games. I loved it. I enjoyed my time with it. It's going to rank very highly at the end of the year for me as one of, like, so far, it's one of my favorite games that I've played this year. Really, really loving it. I think it's slightly flawed, but I think it's better than Gungrave Overdose, honestly.
Okay. Cool.
I think
that Gore is the most recent Gungrave game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think maybe one of the VR games is, because there's 2 Gungrave VR games, and I don't know if those are actually newer than Gore or not, but it's the newest one that you can play without VR. So the other Gungrave games are on the PS2 and are locked on the PS2 and have never been ported anywhere. And you can only get them on that console. So play the first Gungrave if you have not. It's amazing. It's 3 hours of boss fights, and that's it. It's so good.
Nice. That sounds like a good time.
It was. And it only took me like 8 hours. So that's a solid runtime.
Yeah. Cool.
What do you got for us, Max? What do you want to talk about?
I can also touch on a game that we've talked about previously, because the DLC, the free DLC for Get Tilted, the devs that we had as our bonus episodes a couple episodes ago, just released. It's called Snurch Siege, and I played through it. I've beaten the DLC. I've beaten part of the DLC. So the DLC includes 3 new modes. There's one mode called Toxic that I won't ever beat. It's basically playing through the main game that we've both played, but there's a rising toxic
fluid, essentially.
Yeah, that's rising up from the bottom up. So you have to play fast and go up fast, because if it reaches you, well, you die and you have to restart from the beginning. And I'm not playing that game fast enough to actually beat that toxic waste. I tried it once and I couldn't get past the second section of the game.
We are not that good at this game.
Oh no, we're not. I'm not. I'm mostly patient and stubborn. I'm not good. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that mode won't ever beat it. That's insane. I know that some of the hardcore players from their Discord, I'm sure they can beat it, but that's not for me. There's also Ascended mode. That one is stupid, but I could probably beat it. So they just took the same map that I just talked about, that was in the base game, but they added a bunch of spiky vines everywhere, making every jump more difficult. But they kept the checkpoints. So I tried doing the first jump of the game and it took me like 10 minutes. So it's really stupid. You have to try you have to use like the combos and just get the right angles and everything. It's really, really difficult, and it's kind of tough because there are a lot of spikes everywhere, but I could see myself just grinding it little bit by little bit and eventually beating the game. But they also released some raffles. I don't know how could I say that. Some challenges with prize pools. So if there's a raffle for just beating the other mode that I will talk about. There's also a top 3 speedrun prize for that new mode, and a $100 Canadian prize for the first person to complete the Ascended mode that I just talked about without getting hit a single time. And from what I believe and from what other people believe in the Discord, and those people are really good at the game, this will never happen. This is straight up impossible. This is a challenge that will never happen. Unless this game goes super viral and someone decides to stream it all the time, this is never happening. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. There are just so much spikes everywhere. I don't see it happening.
Okay.
Yeah. And finally, the third mode added in DLC, it's called Snurch Siege, like I said, and it's a brand new map. And the map is divided in 2 sections. The first section took me about 55 minutes to beat. It's just more Get Tilted, but instead of going up, you're mostly going forward. So there are slides. So the difference is that there are like slide sections where you have to. It's a bit more actiony than just planning your jumps. There are also like arrows dropping from the ceiling, like stuff throwing arrows at you. So you have to dodge on top of playing the game. And overall, that section wasn't too hard. Like if you've gotten to the end of the first game, this is more or less the same with a bit more action oriented. So it's really not too bad. What's what's really difficult is that once you've gotten through those platforming sections, you get to a boss fight. And this is the first boss fight of the game. The first map did not have a boss fight. And you're playing against like a giant cat. And you have to dodge, I believe, 14 different attacks to beat, at the minimum, to beat the cat. So the arena is like one long corridor with spikes on both ends and spikes under the ground. And the cat will do one of different attacks on the first round. In the first phase, the cat will either do some swipe attacks with like his floating ends, and you can see like red lines on the ground where the claws will actually hurt you, and you can have to dodge it so you don't lose the fight, and you get 3 hit points at least. The other attack is rolling yarn balls, so just a bunch of yarn bars rolling from the end of the corridor, and you have to dodge them. And I think you can also get like a rain of yarn balls, so you see the shadows coming from the top, and you have to dodge them. So that's the first phase. You have to avoid 4 different attacks. It's completely RNG. And once those four attacks are done, then the cat will enter his hurting phase. So it will try to crush you with one of its paws, and you have to dodge at the very last second. So the paw will destroy the ground under you and will hit the spikes. And you have to dodge 2 paws to actually reach the spike. So you have to dodge one, it will crush the wood under you, and then you have to come back on the space where you were, dodge once again, and then the paw will hit the spikes. And you have 3 chances to get like 2 hits on the same place to actually hurt the cat. If you miss hitting it, then you have to dodge 4 more attacks before he does its paw attack again. In the second phase, it's those same attacks, but they go faster. And there's also now another kind of swipe attack going from front to back and back to front. I think that one can be cheesed if you just hug one of the walls. I think you cannot get hurt. That's what I've seen from the other speedrunners. But other than that, it's a bit... Oh, I'm going to touch on the difficulty right after. So that's like the new attack, and it seems like it does less of the rolling ball attack because it's one of the easier ones, and does more of the other attacks because they're more difficult. And after that, there's a crushing attack. Once again, you have to avoid 4 different attacks to get to the hurting phase. And then you get to the last phase where everything is more sped up, is more difficult, and like the attacks will get one over the other. So like while the first attack is ending, the second attack will start, and when the second attack is ending, the third attack will start. So there's more shit to avoid all the time. And if I'm correct, you have to avoid 6 attacks on that last phase before you can get to the hurting phase and actually beat the boss.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it. This fight is dumb. It's so freaking difficult. Like I said, it took me like 50 minutes to reach the boss, and then it took me 2 hours to beat the boss. And I just feel like I got lucky. I don't feel like I got good at the boss fight for many reasons. The audio design isn't really good, so like the cat can spawn on either end of the corridor, on either side of the corridor, and you never really know where it spawns. You just hear a faint sound of him spawning, and then you have to use the camera to spin around to actually see what attack it's gonna do. If it's one on either end, it's gonna be the rolling ball attack, but if it's on the side, it can be any of the other attacks. And oftentimes you just start to get hit before you realize where the cat is. So that's a bit annoying. The attack that I said that can be chased by hugging the wall, like I don't know how you're supposed to avoid this attack because you have paws coming from the front and from the back, and you cannot see on the back. So, and they're attacking at the same time. So I just don't know how you're supposed to avoid both of those things at the same time. And the other swiping attack, I didn't really describe it, but the paws are coming like from random directions, and you see you see a preview of where the claws are gonna attack, so you can jump to safety before you get hit. But like on the third phase, you just get like a dozen of paws clawing at you at the same time. It's just completely red all over the floor. There are no safe spaces. You just have to pray. You just have to jump forward and pray that you don't get it. It's really frustrating. And from what I understood, that was the goal of the devs, to do something really difficult because they have really good players in their Discord. So
yeah, they do.
I understand the intent, but for me, just like casually beating the game, like being fairly good at platformers, but being more patient than anything, that fight was really frustrating. Like I managed to get pretty good at beating the first two phases with like a single hit or with no hit at all. So that I could manage that. It felt a bit long. Like 4 attacks is a bit long. I wished it was 3 attacks instead of 4s because it takes like over 2 minutes just to get to the last phase, and then after those 2 minutes, I get crushed. So yeah, it's a bit long. But that last phase, it's way too difficult. I feel like I could get a good time on that first part, on the platforming part, but I dread actually trying to speedrun the game just because of the boss fight, because I feel like I will just lose all my runs to bad RNGs. So, yeah. Any questions on the Get Tilted DLC? I think you haven't tried it yet, right?
No, I've not tried it yet. I meant to get to it before we recorded. That way we could have a conversation about it at the same time.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing Gungrave instead, and just kind of got swept up in that game. And so
yeah. So yeah, the Get Tilted DLC, to me, for the tier list will go in. This is fine.
Okay.
Like, I understand the intent of the devs. They really wanted to make something more difficult. It's a free DLC, and that first platforming part was really good. Like, I felt good playing that section. That was fun. But yeah, the boss fight did hinder the. I wouldn't put it in great games because of that. Like, the game as a whole, I think it's still a great game, but that boss fight is really frustrating. I would be surprised if you actually manage to beat it, because I know you're not the best platformer out there. I think you can reach the boss no problem, but that boss, like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't even beat the main game yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still at the same spot.
Yeah. So yeah, but at the time it's more action oriented. So maybe you would be better at the boss fight than at the main game. Who knows?
That's possible. Yeah,
that's possible. But yeah, to me it was so freaking hard, and I'm happy I actually managed to beat the boss. But yeah, I rarely get frustrated playing some video games, but this one I did smash my my sofa a couple of times while I lost at the third phase. I was the game is called Get Tilted, and I did get tilted playing that game. So I cannot, at the same time, I cannot really be frustrated. Like, that's the design of the game. Like, I get it. That's fine.
Yeah. That was their whole design ethos going into the game in the first place, was
exactly
make a challenging game. So
yeah, I just wish the boss fight was a little bit more fair. It's like yeah, if it was a little bit more fair, maybe it could go back into great games for the DLC. But yeah, at points it's unfair. There's a lot of attacks happening at the same time.
Cool. Max, have you heard of the game Muse Dash?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's funny because it's in your Steam library, so you had to have heard of it at some point in time.
For real? Wow. What the heck? I have no recollection of ever getting this game.
This is an anime rhythm game.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, is it free? No, it's
it's not free.
It's really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like $2.99 normally. I got it for 89 cents on sale, which is a great deal considering how much time I have put into this game. I have played this game 14 hours between the last time we talked and today.
Wow.
And I have not bought the DLC yet, which I am going to do. I'll talk a little bit more about the DLC in a minute. But Muse Dash is a rhythm game. All of the music is either J-pop, Vocaloid music, or it's from the VTuber group HoloLive, which we don't need to get into what exactly HoloLive is. If you know what HoloLive is, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then it doesn't really matter. They're just a group of VTubers. But they also it's a multimedia company in Japan. I think some of the music might be original for this game. Also, I'm not 100% sure on that. But essentially, this is it's a rhythm game where you are playing as a character and it's kind of set up like an auto runner, so you're running across a platform and enemies are coming at you and you're attacking the enemies to the rhythm of the music that is playing. And it's set up in 2 lines, so you're running on the ground and enemies will appear and then be on that line down on the ground, or they will be up in the air and you have to hit the other button to jump up into the air and attack the enemies that are up in the air. And you can jump or attack at any point in time, whether there's an enemy on screen or not, but doing that does not affect your combo or your score or anything at all, so far as I can tell. So essentially the game just has 2 primary types of things that you're doing. You're either hitting an enemy for a singular note, or you're pressing and holding a button, which they call I don't remember what they call, but it's a hold note. You have to press and hold the button. And every once in a while you'll have one where like you have to press and hold like the top key, and then enemies will still be down on the bottom. And if you want to get a full combo, you'll have to tap the second note at the same time while you're still holding the first one. That doesn't happen in a lot of the early stages. That's more complex tech and actually kind of gets tough later on, if I'm being honest with you, with some of that. But there's a few different types of enemies. So like there'll be small enemies, there'll be big enemies, and then there will be music notes that come along. Those just give you additional points. You don't have to attack them. Sometimes you'll get health, which I'll get into that in a second. And then there will be like Sawblades that come in either lane that you have to dodge also instead of attack. All of this to the rhythm of the music. Really, really fun. Each of the stages is separated into multiple difficulties. So you have easy and hard difficulty unlocked at the beginning. And then some of the songs will have a master difficulty. In order to unlock the master difficulty on those songs, you have to beat the hard mode and get an S tier on the hard mode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have found that so you can there's 5 different scores that you can get on each of the songs, and they start at C, and then B, A, and then S, and then there's a silver S also. There might be a gold S as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. But because I may have gotten one accidentally. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
So 5, but you only have to get an S, a normal S. You don't have to get the silver S to unlock the master difficulty. So, to determine the difficulty of the track that you're about to play, it'll give you a number from 1 to 10. Most of the easy mode tracks are rated from either a 1 to a 5. The normal mode tracks will be like 4 to maximum of, I think, 8. But usually they're in like the 4 to 7 range, and then the master mode will be 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
In the base game, there are about 60 songs that you can get that just come with the game, and that was for 89 cents. And I said, I have put 14 hours into this game. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of content for not a lot of money.
Yeah, I did check on my Gmail, and I bought it for 50 cents. 50 American cents last summer.
Perfect. Yeah, so it must go on sale pretty often. I guess I'll touch on the DLC really quick. The DLC is $35.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
But the DLC gives you 15 new characters, and it says over 500 new songs. Which, if that's true, that's fucking an insane amount of music for $30, essentially. I'm waiting for it to go on sale, because when I first bought the game, it was on sale for like $26. And I was like, well, I want to beat the main game before I buy the DLC. And then by the time I beat the main game, the DLC had gone off sale. So I'm just going to wait for it to go on sale the next time, and then I'll buy it.
Mm-hmm. I guess the main game is really cheap to get people to actually play the game, and the DLC for people to just support the dev.
Yep. And I think that's a great business model, if I'm being honest with you, for this kind of game, because like I'm going to buy that DLC after playing the main game. Like, the game is fun enough that I want to keep playing it, and I keep playing it. I was playing it more today after I beat Gungrave before we started this call, just because like I needed something to play for 30 minutes, and it's a perfect game to just turn on for 30 minutes. But so
I have a question.
Yes.
Like, the Steam page is kind of raunchy. How is it in the game? Are the characters any sexy at all, or it's just so bait to get people to buy the game?
I think it's a little bit of both. Okay. So you have 3 characters that you can choose from, and they have multiple skins for each of the characters. I'll get into that in just a second. The characters' names are Rin, Burrow, and Marija.
Okay.
And each one of them will have a bunch of different skins that you can unlock through playing the game, or more skins that you can purchase through the DLC. They are... What's the best way to put this? They are hot anime girls in slightly revealing outfits, but you're not. It's not like a hentai game. You're not seeing bare breasts. You're not seeing bare asses. There's no sex in the game. There's no naked characters in the game. They're just in. They're waifus in attractive clothes.
Okay.
So, little bit of jiggle physics going on the character portraits. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, not. It's not. You can find other games on Steam if you want something more mature than this. Let's put it that way.
You can play this in front of kids.
Yes, you could play this in front of kids, and it wouldn't matter. Because when you're in the main portion of the game, you're never really seeing that character in like that full portrait style. Because in the main game, they're just like a little chibi.
Okay.
Running along the screen there.
Okay.
So when you choose a character, each one of the characters and their skins have a different special ability, and those abilities trigger different things within the game. So like one of the first characters that I unlocked was a skin for Rin called Bad Girl Rin, And what she does is gives you 5 chances of turning a great hit into a perfect hit. So, like in most rhythm games, you have well, in this one, you only have the 2 types of hits for how well you're hitting the note, which is either great or perfect. And what that skin does is it changes 5 of the great hits into perfects, and then once you run out of those 5, then if you hit a great, you're just getting that great score. If you hit a perfect, you're still hitting a perfect.
Cool.
When you hit a perfect, you get more score. You also get more. What is the word that they use for it? It builds a meter that essentially builds. They call it fever. So you remember in like Guitar Hero when you build star power and then you can like activate it to earn bonus points. In this, you build that fever. It's kind of that same thing, but instead of activating it whenever you want, it activates automatically once your bar is totally full. So, and you get more of that fever point if you're hitting perfects rather than greats. So what that ends up meaning is that they've essentially designed the levels that if you're hitting all perfects from the start, you're going to be in the optimal place to hit fever most of the time, unless you're playing a character that builds fever faster, which might be better for some levels when you're trying to score chase into like the highest scores on the competitive leaderboards, which I am not doing because I'm not that good or that crazy.
Yeah, I get that.
You also have a secondary character. They call them elfins. They're essentially just a little floating avatar that flies alongside you. They don't do anything except add some additional bonus. It honestly, if you're not chasing those super high scores, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. Just pick whichever one you think looks the coolest, and it's fine. They all give different bonuses of some kind. I did not write down what any of those bonuses are.
Yeah.
But the other thing about this game is that you also have your player level experience. And so what that means is that every time you finish a song, you'll get experience points. And when you level up, you'll either unlock different various pieces of like either concept art or fan art that they've added into the game, or just art in general that's in the game, or you'll unlock an item that goes towards unlocking one of these other skins for one of the characters. And you have to collect 8 of a particular item to unlock a character, which sounds like a lot at first, but like you get a level base, especially very early in the game, you get a level for beating a song. So you level up really, really quickly. So it's pretty fast that you start unlocking characters. Like I unlocked most of the characters by the time I got through playing all of the base songs on easy and hard and playing some of them on master.
Okay.
There's also another thing where each of the songs on each of the difficulties has certain achievements that you can try and grind for. And those can be things like get full combo on this song. And then when you get that achievement, you'll get additional experience points, and then it just lights up a little trophy next to that song also. So like get full combo, get a score over a certain number, get all perfects against a particular type of enemy that's in that level. They're different for each individual song. Yeah. That's cool. I think that's most of like the actual mechanics for this game. It's a pretty simple game. Like it's a rhythm game. How much can I really say about a rhythm game? Do you have any questions before I put this on the tier list?
I don't think so. Did you like the music?
Oh, I love the music. But I like J-pop. Like that's something that we just kind of listen to on a fairly regular basis while like we're driving. Like obviously I like anime. Like a lot of anime theme songs are J-pop and stuff like that. So a lot of those artists I will listen to on occasion and have for 20 years. So I don't really listen to any of like the Vocaloid stuff. That's not something that I go out of my way to listen to on my own, but all the music in this game is great. It's super catchy. I've had some of these songs just kind of stuck in my head, the rhythm of them stuck in my head. So, yeah, this is a really, really fun rhythm game. If you like rhythm games and you like Japanese music, like this game, so I described this to Rob as it sounds like a Dance Dance Revolution machine.
Oh.
So a lot of like fast paced tracks like that, especially in the later songs. Some of those later songs are fucking hard, even on easy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get tough with even with just 2-button inputs. They figured out how to make songs difficult. So
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Really great game. I've had a lot of fun playing Muse Dash. You might be surprised, but I'm going to put this into absolute bangers.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, this is
especially for the price. Like that's pretty crazy.
For $3, you can get, in my opinion, one of the best rhythm games that has come out in recent history. Now, like, there's been some big ones that I've not played. Like Melatonin looks really, really good, and I've not played that one yet. So, like, there's games that have come out that I've not played. This one is 100% worth playing. Despite its price, it's worth playing, even if you don't buy the DLC. I'm going to buy the DLC, and when I do, I'm probably going to disappear into this game for like a month, because that's a lot of music.
Wow, awesome. Well, it looks like I should actually give it a shot since, well, I have the game somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, play it. It's good.
Awesome. Will do.
All right, Max. What's your last game here?
Yeah, my last game, as I said, is another platformer, and it's a game I meant to beat like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So it's the latest. No, it's not the latest Sonic game, but it's one of the latest Sonic game. It's called Sonic Dream Team. Had you ever heard about Sonic Dream Team before seeing it in the list?
Oh, that sounds like the name of a Sonic game, but there's also like 300 Sonic games. So
yeah. So basically, it's an Apple Arcade exclusive Sonic game that released for iPhones and iPads and all of that. Like I said, like 18 months ago, and I've taken an Apple Arcade subscription just to play this game because it looked interesting, and I ended up like not playing the game. I just played a bunch of Apple Arcade games since I bought the subscription, and the main reason is because I started playing on my phone, but then I switched to my old iMac laptop, but then I just like the save file didn't transfer, so I had to restart again, and then I just kind of forgot about it.
right.
Because like I ultimately didn't to like the I didn't get into the rhythm of actually using my MacBook to play some video games. So, and I didn't want to start the game like for a third time if I tried to transfer it on my phone back again. But anyway, that's the setup of the game. Sonic Dream Team is kind of the Sonic take on the Mario 64 formula, and that's pretty interesting. So the story, who cares? Eggman decided to take control of the dream world somehow because by using
we need to get Chaos Emeralds, blah blah blah. Eggman's bad guy.
Yeah. He captured like Cream, the little rabbit character, and she's stuck in the dream world, and then the dream fairy, Mary, just
not Cream.
Yeah, exactly. She went to the real world and asks Sonic and friends to go in the dream world to save Cream and beat an Eggman. Like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, so like I said, it's kind of like Mario 64. So you have a main level in each world, and that level is kind of it's kind of like Mario 3D World kind of 3D platformer where it's more about corridor-based 3D platforming, but there are little collectathon section within the level. Like you will get to a section and you need to find 3 keys to unlock the door, and then you go on a chase around like this open section where there are like different challenges to get the different keys. You go back to the key door and then you continue playing the game. In each of those main levels, you have like 30 blue coins to find and also 5 red rings. So like pretty standard platformer stuff. And in terms of gameplay, it's kind of like boost gameplay. So you're mostly like going fast and chaining combos to maintain your speed through the level. So you will be grinding a rail, riding on a wall, and then you jump, you dash into an enemy, then jump on a bumper, and then dash into another rail. And like it's really fluid. Like the levels are meant to be played pretty fast. But then the fun thing is that between those main levels, you will replay sections of those main levels, but by doing mini challenges. So, like the second star of the level is a speed run. So you just have like half of the level and you have to go through that section as a speed run. Then you have a collectathon mini game where you have just a section of the game of the level, and you have to find 6 different orbs throughout the level. So it's just like a little collectathon mission that lasts like for a minute and a half. And I like those like short bursts of just playing some 3D platformers in different ways. And once you've done like a couple of those missions, then you get another level where you have to go through it, find all the stuff, and then other missions. So the flow is really good because you're always either playing a full level, trying to search for everything, or just running to the end, and then you're doing side missions by replaying those same levels but in different ways. And that also helps with the idea of like Sonic levels being hard to make because they have to be very long because you're running really fast through a bunch of stuff. But since they're reusing the same levels over and over in different ways, it makes sense. Like you're optimizing the space that you have to play with. You have 4 different game styles. You can either play with Sonic or Amy. They're the speedsters, so they go fast. They can dash in midair, and they can dash through like rings sections. So you just dash through the rings, and then it's like automatic. You just follow the trail of rings and then reach another section of the level. You can play with Cream and Tails, and they have like they can hover and go higher in the air, and then you can chain that with different upgrades. So you reach like a ring that will give you more flying time, and then you reach the other ring and you have to chain those combos, but they cannot dash in midair. So it's like a trade-off. Those characters play a little bit slower. And then finally you have Rouge and Knuckles that can glide in midair and walk on walls. Well, not walk. They can use like their fists to actually climb
on the walls. Yeah, like Knuckles always has.
Yeah, exactly. But like there are specific sections. So at some point you will get an upgrade that you can change characters mid-level, and when you see a wall that can be climbed with Knuckles, well, you can change to Knuckles, climb the wall, continue playing that level. Okay. And finally, you can also unlock Shadow, and Shadow is a bit more complicated because you can do the chaos control like anytime. So at any time you can slow down time to do some platforming on platforms that were going way too fast. But if you do the chaos control in midair, you can like teleport to different platforms if they are near enough.
Does he have his guns?
No guns in this one. No guns in the
No
dream world.
super edgy. Okay.
No, exactly. And yeah, I think I've talked a lot about Sonic already, but it's a 3D platformer. You go fast, you chain jumps. Nothing is really difficult. You're just
Right.
I had to replay a couple of the speedrun levels because I just missed my jumps and my combos and stuff. But overall, nothing really difficult. The variety is pretty fun. You start like typical Sonic setting, and then you go in a like Jelly Factory. There's the Eggman City where there's a bunch of giant Eggman faces everywhere. It honestly, that game was extremely fun. It I don't really like Sonic games, so that's something. Mainly the 2D ones, I just feel like they're more like speedrunner games, and I'm more of a typical platformer guy. So like those games, you cannot really die. You're always regaining your rings, and it feels trivial. You're just running, gaining your rings, and at some point the levels are done. it's I feel I don't know. I'm not having a lot of fun in those Sonic games, but this
That's
one,
simplifying it a little bit, but yeah, I get your point.
yeah. Well, the older ones were a bit more difficult. Or like Sonic Mania was extremely easy, and I felt like I never knew where I was going in the levels, but I still ended up like beating every level on my
See, I
first
haven't
try.
played Mania yet. I should really
Yeah.
get around to that one because I do like the. I've heard that it's if you like the old Sonic games, that Mania is supposed to be really really fun. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, to me it felt like mindless. But yeah,
Okay.
I know that's a me problem. But this Sonic game, I guess, doesn't really feel like a Sonic game. It feels more like a traditional Mario or 3D platformer game, and I really enjoyed that. Like I took the bus to go to Montreal, and I just played through that game during my bus rides, and that was really cool. I've not beaten the game 100%, but I have beaten the game, and once you've beaten the game, you get a post game with more levels, more shadow levels and stuff, and you can unlock a bunch of like power-ups to use during the levels. So there's still a lot that I can do with the game. But yeah, I think this might actually be my favorite Sonic game because it's not really a Sonic game.
Nice.
Any question before I put it on the tier list?
No.
I'm gonna skew a lot of our tier list today, but I will also put it into absolute banger because I mean I think it's my favorite Sonic game, so it should be at the top, right? It's just
Excellent.
it's just a really fun 3D platformer. I was really surprised.
Cool.
All right, Chris, your last two games.
Yeah, I have two games to talk about. One of them is going to be really quick. One of them is a little bit more. I'm going to get into the one that's a little bit deeper first, and that is a game called SwordShip. Friend of ours, Sir Chadley OC. You can follow him on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sir Chadley OC. He sent me a DM and was like, "You should check out this game. Looks like something you'd be into." And then he sent me another DM and was like, "Oh wait, never mind. It's a roguelike. I didn't realize that you might not be into this." And I was like, "Well, it's $1.99 on Steam right now, so might as well check it out." Because I want to find like I'm trying to find roguelikes and roguelites that I like to try and understand why people like the genre. And I found one that I like in this game.
Wow.
And I think I understand why I like this one in comparison to others. And I'll get in. I can get into that right now. I think the reason that I like this one more than others is that the power-ups that you can get, basically they feel like they're unnecessary. Like it doesn't fundamentally change how the game plays. It doesn't fundamentally change whether or not you're going to be able to survive with those boons in comparison to not having them. Like you could have none of them throughout the entirety of a run, and you would still be able to complete the run no problem.
Ooh.
So the story setup for this game is it's the post-apocalypse and the world is flooded, and you drive this ship called a SwordShip, and you're trying to steal containers from the evil fascists and give them to colonies of people that need these supplies. There's your basic setup for the game. The way the game plays is that it's like a shoot 'em up, except you can't shoot.
Okay.
So you're moving your ship around on the screen, and you move very, very fast, like you do in a lot of shoot 'em ups. And so and the other thing that I should preface is that the way that the game is set up is that like you're moving towards the camera essentially. So you're moving like from the top of the screen towards the camera. It's essentially just a static screen with like, speed lines on it or whatever to make it look like it's moving, but that doesn't matter. You're moving towards the camera.
Yeah.
So you're moving, enemies will appear on the screen and they will try and shoot at you, and you're trying to direct their fire into other enemies that are on the screen at the same time, rather than shooting at those enemies yourself. That's why I say that's kind of like a shoot 'em up, because you're trying to focus their projectiles rather than shooting your own. There's basically 3 different types of projectiles that your enemies have. There are like laser beams that fire and stay on the screen for a second or 2, depending on the particular enemy that's shooting that laser beam. There are enemies that shoot like really fast shots, which will be just like a marker shows up saying where the enemy is going to shoot, and then once it hits a certain point, they shoot, and then that's the end of it. And then another type that I call slow shots, which are like projectiles that stay on the screen and move fairly slowly on the screen. So you're trying to use all of these things to attack the other enemies on the screen. All of these attacks are indicated by a red line or red space, whether it's a circle or a line, that shows up on the screen or on your play field when the enemy is starting to attack. So it'll show up as a red line and it'll slowly fade into bright red, and then you have to move out of the way of that attack to be able to not get hit. One hit means you died, and then you're done for. So you move out of the way and you're trying to direct these attacks into, like I've already said, into other enemies to destroy the enemies. And then once you've destroyed them, they will drop a piece of energy that you can pick up that gives you points. It also gives you energy for a special ability that your ship could have, depending on the type of ship that you're currently using, which I'll get more into in a little bit. There's 3 different modes. There's an easy mode, normal mode, hard mode. I have not beaten the hard mode yet. I'm still trying to. I don't think I'm going to. It's really, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the normal mode just as like the base of what the game kind of expects from you, because you don't get credits from beating easy mode, but you do get credits from beating normal mode. So, when you start easy mode, you have to play through 3 different worlds. They call them cities. So you have to play through 3 different cities and play through 3 levels in each one of these cities. And each one of the cities has different types of enemies that have different types of attacks. And so it's basically you trying to learn what enemies have what attacks in which of these cities and how to best avoid them and how to best use those attacks to attack other enemies within that particular type of level. So when you go in, you start the first level of City 1, you need to collect 3 containers or fail to collect 3 containers to pass level 1 of City 1. And then when you go to level 2, you need to collect 4. And when you go to level 3, you need to collect 5. And then when you go to the next city, it'll go back to 3 and then 4 and then 5. And then 3, 4, 5 for the third city. You don't have to collect these containers, but it is 100% worthwhile for you to try to collect them, or as many as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to collect a container, instead of being a red line that appears on the screen, it'll be a yellow line, and it'll appear from the bottom of the screen, and it'll be something that moves from the bottom up towards the top of the screen, and you need to get in that line, in that yellow line, to pick up that container. But you need to do that while also avoiding multiple enemies' attacks at the same time, avoiding multiple enemies at the same time. So it can actually be kind of difficult sometimes to get to that line where the container is. And one of the ways that you can do that to make it a little bit easier, and something that you need to really, really get used to doing, is you can dive under the water. So when you dive under the water, you can avoid any attacks. You can swim underneath enemies, and underneath some of those laser beam attacks, which you're going to need to do sometimes. And that's basically the only move that you have other than actually moving. There is one other way to technically attack, but we'll get there in a minute. Okay?
Okay.
So when you collect or fail to collect these containers. Oh, when you pick up a container, that's not actually counted as it being collected yet. Once you pick up that container from that yellow line, another space will appear somewhere on the screen where you have to drop off that container. So you have to move onto like a yellow space that's appeared and sit there for like 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds to drop the container to actually count it as being collected for the refugee cities that you're trying to collect these containers for.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the end of a level, it'll tell you how many containers you've collected, and you have a choice. You can either sacrifice those containers to get points, or you can keep those containers for yourself and get extra lives and boons that give you extra abilities for your run.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this dichotomy of choice. More often than not, if you're not worried about the points, keep the containers, because the extra lives are going to keep you alive longer. So let's say you just finished City 1, Level 1, you collected all 3 containers. So you have 3 containers that you can choose. You can give 2 containers to get 1,000 points per container, and then keep 1 container for yourself and get 1 extra life, and then 1 random boon. Or you can keep all 3 containers for yourself and get 3 extra lives, but only 1 boon.
Okay.
So you kind of have to make these choices. Now, the points come in terms of the overall progression. So you can unlock permanent progression upgrades by collecting X number of points, but those points don't stack after each run. They only accumulate per run. So there's a page where the most expensive one is 55,000 points, which I have not unlocked yet. I have 4 point values that I have not reached yet, which are 37,000, 42,000, 48,000, and then the 55,000. I've not been able to reach a cumulative 37,000 in a single run to be able to unlock the next permanent upgrade. And what those permanent upgrades are is they are either another type of ship that gives you a different special ability, or they're another type of boon that you can have the possibility of getting by keeping one of those containers during a run.
Okay.
Some of the boons are kind of impactful, but like I said, I think you can basically live without any of them. The 3 that I find the most impactful, personally, are one of them gives you a longer pickup line, so the pickup line for the containers shows up on screen sooner, so that you can have a little bit more time to get to it. I think that's useful. Another one is it gives you double drop zones, so 2 drop zones will appear on the screen every time a drop zone appears to be able to actually deliver those containers. And that's just helpful because sometimes they always appear in random places, and sometimes they'll appear right next to enemies. And it's like, well, that's not a safe place for me to go and deliver a container right now. So you just have to kind of hold on to it. And that brings another little thing in. If you still have a container in your possession, when the next container starts to appear on the screen, you're not going to be able to collect that second container. It's just you're going to fail to collect it 100%. Yeah. So you have to try and drop them off as soon as possible. But sometimes that can be really difficult with a lot of enemies on the screen all shooting at you at the same time. And then there's one other boon that allows you to drop your containers faster, which is the most useful thing, in my opinion, because it reduces it from like 2 seconds of having to sit in one spot down to like a second of having to sit in one spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that being really useful in a hectic dodge a bunch of shit kind of game.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, that's the basics of this game. Like that's kind of all of its mechanics, and it's just fun to play. Yeah. And I think that's the other most important thing is that, like, if this wasn't a roguelike and a roguelite, because it's definitely light on the rogue things. If it was just play through these 10 levels, because it is only 10 levels, beat the final boss, and then play it on the next difficulty without any of the progression upgrades or stuff, I would still play this game, and it would still be a fun time, and I would still try and beat that final boss. This game's fun. I really enjoyed this one.
It's mainly just an arcade game at this point.
It's an arcade game. Yeah.
That's something that's one of my pet peeves. Like, roguelites are just like arcade games with extra step, because like that's the core of an arcade game. You start from the beginning and you try to get a good score. That's basically what this game is. But because you can collect upgrades somehow, it's a roguelite and not just an arcade game, because that's more popular. But yeah, it's an arcade game.
Yep. It's an arcade game, and it's a really fun arcade game. That final boss, so the final boss music is, all the music in this game is good. The final boss music is so good. It's like this super dark, synth heavy, just bass kicking, fucking techno beat. It's great. I love it so much. It makes me want to just play that boss fight over and over again. And so I've had fun with this one. The roguelite stuff, like I said, basically doesn't matter. It's a fun arcade game. I'm having a good time. I'll probably do some more runs of this. I think this is solid into the A tier. It's a great game. Lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed my time with this one.
I have 2 comments.
Yes.
First one, I find it kind of funny that we brought 2 games with like sword kind of wordplay. I brought Beard Blade and you brought SwordShip. I don't know. Yep. That's kind of funny. And
that is a little.
Also, the setup of this game reminds me a lot of Bullet Hell. I don't know if you remember, like, this game that we played in the Polykill Discord last year. It's
I remember,
game about,
I remember everybody talking about it, and I didn't have my new PC at the time, so I didn't get into it.
So it's kind of the same kind of idea where you have to dodge attacks, and then you have to redirect the attacks to different circles around the main circle. So technically, you're dodging bullets and you're redirecting the bullets to the enemies, and that seems like the same mechanic as in SwordShip. So
yep. So sounds about the same.
Yeah, if you want a bit more of that kind of gameplay, maybe you could give Volatile a try. I had a lot of fun with that game last year, so I would recommend it.
I might check that out. Now that you're reminding me of it, I might go ahead and check it out. So final game that I have to talk about today is a game called Arctic Eggs. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And Arctic Eggs is a very weird game that I found from a video that I'm going to shout out later on in the loot box section from the YouTube creator Slippy. I had sent you this video one day, and it was 5 indie games that are actually hidden gems is the name of the video, and you watched it immediately and sent back to me, when are you buying Arctic Eggs? And I said, as soon as I get done cooking, because I'm kind of busy cooking right now.
Yeah. I knew this was your kind of jam, for sure.
This is so much my kind of jam. So, essentially what this game is, it is very low poly, low texture. It kind of looks like a PS1 game.
Mm-hmm.
You're in first person and you're going around this like city and you're talking to people and you're trying to find people to cook for. So you'll be in like this semi, I don't want to say open world because it's a pretty small level. It only takes like 3 minutes to get from one end of the level to the other. We have to go around, you have to talk to everybody, you need to find the people that want something cooked, and then you have to cook it for them. And then the cooking is the main point of the game, and it's this physics-based cooking where essentially you have to use the mouse, and when the mouse is resting at its base point, the skillet that you're using is not moving. But when you move the mouse to the right or to the left, the skillet tilts to the right or tilts to the left or tilts up or tilts down. So you're moving your mouse very slightly to move this food around on your skillet. The food will not cook if it's not moving. So you have to move the food around in order to cook it. So you can't just let it sit there and do nothing. This starts off really easy with the first person that you run into. They want you to cook a single egg, but they have a time limit. They're like, well, I really like eggs cooked with cigarettes. So you have to drop an egg and a cigarette into your skillet, and you have to finish cooking the egg before the cigarette burns out. But with an egg, you have to cook it on both sides. So once the egg is finished cooking on one side, it'll kind of expand and do like undulation thing to make it obvious that it is finished cooking on that one side. And then you need to use these physics to kind of slide the egg to one side and then slightly jerk the mouse to flip the skillet and make the egg flip over. There's no way to like use a spatula and flip it over. You have to do it like you're, like you see people do in like TikToks and whatnot and YouTube videos where like they just flip shit on a skillet. That's essentially what you're trying to do, except with multiple things. And if you flip them too hard, they fall off the skillet and you have to start over.
Okay.
So starts off really easy with like a single egg, like I said, or just 2 eggs. And then it gets progressively more and more difficult with more and more things that you're trying to cook. So like one of the things that you're trying to cook is it's like a tin of fish, like sardines. You have to put the tin of sardines into your skillet and slide it around a little bit. And then once it's cooked enough, it'll pop open and the sardines will pop out, but they have to be on the surface of the skillet. They can't still be on the tin to be able to cook. So you have to kind of like slide that around and get them off the tin of the skillet and onto the actual surface of the skillet to be able to cook them. Like another one of the things will be like puffer fish. And the thing about puffer fish is that, well, they puff and they bounce because they're like a rubber ball. So when you try to move them around, if you have like pufferfish and something else on the skillet that needs to be flipped over. Like the pufferfish don't need to be flipped. They just cook and then they're fully cooked and then they change color. But if you're cooking a pufferfish and an egg, you have to cook the pufferfish and the egg at the same time. But you have to flip that egg, but it's hard to flip the egg because the pufferfish is basically a rubber ball and is trying to bounce around in the skillet at the same time that you're trying to flip the egg. So it becomes this challenge of trying to keep everything in the skillet while also maintaining like what you need to cook. And there's a lot of little switch ups of like different things that they add into the skillet to change what you're trying to cook and how you have to do that. And it's goofy and it's weird and it's fun. I wrote down some quotes from this game because the writing is insane.
Okay.
None of this writing makes sense, I don't think. Somebody probably can make a coherent story out of all of the writing in this game. Something fascism, not good is essentially what I get out of it. Like evil government's bad. Sure. But so I have a couple of quotes. This first one is a quote. There's two NPCs that are talking to each other, and the first one says, "I don't need sex. The government fucks me every day." And then the other one responds, ... I'm a little uncomfortable. And then that's the end of the conversation.
Oh wow.
A conversation between a soldier and someone else at this bar. The soldier says, "Too many soldiers, honestly, makes everybody feel a little hostile." Other one says, "I noticed." The other one says, "Oh, sorry, I needed a job." That's the soldier talking. Other guy's like, "Quit." Soldier says, "Too scared." Other one says, "When the bass drops, kill yourself." Other one says, "Beauty is found in the briefest of moments, not in the grasp of eternity."
What is happening?
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Wow. You go to a prison at some point. A prisoner says to you, "I prefer interpretive plumbing." Interpretive plumbing. It has many benefits. The main one being that sometimes if I work up enough sweat, the bugs find me desirable. I will let you use this one as seasoning.
Wow. It's a full package. Like
it really is.
You're like weirdly cooking stuff, but yeah, it's more of a full experience of being in that world.
You're getting a creative writing class at the same time.
Oh yeah. I don't know if it's the right word, but you're getting something.
I have one last quote for you. This one's a little long, and then we'll put Arctic eggs onto the tier list.
All right.
Quote: "Pandering resembles erosion. Great ideas, like towering mountains, erode into accessible but diminished forms. Initially, these ideas, pure and monumental, become mountains through expression, enabling others to perceive them. Yet, as demands for broader accessibility grows, like relentless rain, they sculpt the peaks into gentler hills, and eventually valleys and canyons. This erosion, while making the mountains more accessible, strips away the beautiful, rigid peaks. As canyons base, the views spans wide, offering superficial understanding without deeper engagement."
And yes, that's true, I guess. Wow. In a game about cooking eggs with cigarettes, right?
Yep. In a game about cooking eggs with cigarettes or cockroaches or bullets, which that's actually really fun. So, in one of the areas of this game, the soldiers will like drop bullets into your skillet while you're cooking, and they'll drop at like a steady interval. And once the bullet has cooked for long enough, it'll explode and try and push everything out of your skillet. So you're trying to not only cook everything at the same time and like make sure that it's flipping correctly and staying in the skillet, you're also trying to like maneuver it away from the bullet so that when it explodes, it doesn't push your stuff out of the skillet.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's such a strange game and I love it so much. This goes in absolute bangers for
Wow.
me.
What
This
a great
is
episode. What is
yeah.
this podcast?
This is not the trash station today. This is the banger station today, I
Yes.
guess.
We just have the title of the episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the perfect level of weird specifically for me. I don't know if anybody else will love this game. I know some people like this game. I don't know if anybody else loves this game. I love this game. This is such my stupid bullshit.
Yeah. How long did it take you to go through it?
About 3 hours.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. It's perfectly reasonable.
Yep. Oh. Yeah. I knew about it, but now I'm even more intrigued. Try it.
Yeah, you should try it. If you can get tilted, you can get through this game for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I can get through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like stupid controls kind of game too. Oh, I'm sure I would love it too.
Yeah, some of those challenges, like I was talking about with the bullets, they can be a little frustrating and a little like, will you just fucking stop? But
yeah.
But it's too fun. And the ultimate question that the game asks is, can you fry eggs on the top of Mount Everest?
Oh, I guess we'll let viewers find for themselves.
that is what you need to find out.
Wow. I would go ahead and say yes, probably. Awesome. All right. When are you playing Arctic Eggs with an actual pen in your hand?
Oh fuck. I need somebody to mod me a pan controller mouse, and then I will do that on stream on camera. Somebody figure out how to mod mouse controls to motion controls on a skillet.
All right, so that sounds like a plan for when we meet up this summer.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take a note of that and try to make it happen.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, that would be really fun. All right. That's a plan.
Okay.
Cool.
That's it for games.
Yep.
We still have more podcasts, though. Let's move on to some hobby time.
Last week, after I was done being dead, like I said, I went to Montreal for a streamer gala. Like, I work with Loto Quebec to make videos, and every year they do a streamer contest where they take 12 French streamers and they give them training and stuff, and then they do a big event that's free for everybody. But I was VIP, so I get a little exclusive access to the creators and stuff, and they give like half of them the grand prize of super champion, and then they have like opportunities throughout the year to work with Loto Quebec on different streams and stuff. And the event was awesome. It was in the Montreal Casino. It's at the on the last floor, and it's just a big arcade, and we had free access to the arcades throughout the night. They gave a lot of food like tartar and just a bunch of stuff. We had drinks, and I just met a lot of people. I met some comedians that are semi-famous here in Quebec. A lot of streamers. I gave many business cards that I printed for my YouTube channel. Got a bunch of new subscribers, and awesome. It was just fun meeting a lot of people, talking about the creators. I had a friend who's a YouTuber from Quebec that went with me, but sadly had to leave after like an hour because his family was all sick in Quebec, so he had to come back. And I also met like another creator that was doing some hockey cards video a while back, but he stopped since then, and he's just like watching our videos now. And I finally met him and spent like 2 hours talking with him. He's a super chill dude, and yeah, that was just really really fun. I'm just happy to go to an event and meet a lot of creators. Like there are not a lot of like creative people doing podcasts and videos and stuff around me, like physically. So it was fun actually meeting them, and some of them like there's a couple that live like 2 streets down my house somehow. So
Nice.
that was cool. Yeah. And I took the train to go there, and in the train I continued coding a website that I want to do for my like my creative stuff, my YouTube channel and everything. And I just spent the whole train ride working on the website. It's like 70% done. I have a homepage with like who I am, the video link to my videos, and then I have like a video page divided by like my most recent stuff, my different series, and like my best videos that I think I've done in the past. I have a page for my video games classified by like my original games, my remakes, and now I'm working on my last 2 sections. Well, last 3 sections. Sections for all the collabs I did with different YouTubers and stuff. So everywhere else that I appear on the internet that is not my own stuff, I want to do like a merch page where people can design like t-shirts. I will talk about that when that is done, but people would be able to like design like I have like a pocket for a t-shirt. And so the people could choose different options of things that go out of the pocket and stuff, and I would actually print that, put on t-shirts. I would like to do that. And I would also have a section for like my English stuff, like the podcast that we're doing right now. So I'm pretty happy with how the website looks. Like that's my actual job, making websites. So it's fun having like a more creative way of doing that. Yeah, it's more personal. That was pretty fun. And I was seated next to Pierrette, an old like lady. She was like 65, and she kept talking to me about her own stuff. She was knitting, like she knit two little dishwash thing during the train ride, and she was a really lovely lady. She gave me like food and stuff while I was coding my my website. It was really fun. I sent you a screenshot if you want to look at it in the text channel. But yeah, that was my hobbies for the past 2 weeks. It was just a great visit to Montreal, and I can't wait to go back to the event next year. It's so fun.
Cool. Let's see. Hang on. I went over to the text channel, and now my computer's not wanting to pull back up the fucking our chat, our video call. Hang on. Hold, please.
Hi, I'm not leaving. I'm still here.
Okay. Can you see me? Why is it says I'm in here twice?
I just see you once.
The fuck is happening?
I don't know.
Okay. There we go. It's not the same as it was, but it'll work. All right. Oh, I think we're good. I think we are good. Okay. So hobby time for me. A couple weeks ago, I said I was playing. I've been running a D&D campaign. my campaign that we run is a thing where we rotate DMs, and it's currently my turn to be DMing the game. And I also said that I think one of my players listens to this, and I've not gotten confirmation nor denial about whether or not that's true. So we're going to continue to only talk about things that have currently happened within the game rather than things that I have prepped. But some of my hobby time has been preparing more things for the D&D game. But the last session that we had, they were on their way to this other city to rescue my character who had been kidnapped, and they ran into some not so friendly ogres or hill giants or something, however you want to call them, on the way. And essentially what I did was I wanted to use some of my Warhammer minis that are just sitting in the display case behind me that you can normally see if my camera were fucking working.
Yeah.
I wanted to use some of those in D&D because, well, I've spent so much time painting them and working on them that I felt like it would be fun to put them on the D&D table instead of just on the Warhammer table. So my Ogre Maw Tribes is one of my armies, and I had them fight against some of those models. And they won the encounter without too much trouble. They took some damage, but it wasn't enough to like knock anybody out. It wasn't enough to kill any characters. They fought well, and it was a fun combat session, and that basically was our entire last session. So they have gotten through that. They've made their way to the city, and now they need to figure out where they need to go within the city to find my character. So that's where we're left off at, and the story will continue. Probably not next time because I have a Warhammer tournament coming up the next weekend. I'm supposed to play D&D, so I'm gonna go play Warhammer instead of playing D&D because I haven't played in a tournament for like 5 months, and I really got the itch to go and play some Warhammer for a day. So, actually, yeah, no, never mind. That tournament's not a 2-day; it's a 1-day tournament, so I can go play that tournament on Saturday and then still play D&D next Sunday. So
good.
We're good.
How much time left before they find you, do you think?
Probably 2 or 3 sessions, maybe 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna say probably more closer to 3 or 4. Depending on how things go. We'll see.
Obviously. That's the beauty of D&D. You never know.
Yep. You never know. But that's some hobby time. Let's move on to Loot Box. First one that I want to shout out is the video that I talked about that I found Arctic eggs from Slippy. His video, 5 indie games that are actually hidden gems. Some of the other games that were in that video, I don't remember exactly what they were. I'm sorry. But they also looked cool, but Arctic Eggs was the one that stood out to me the most and was the one that I was like, I need that in my life. And I'm happy I have it in my life now. Good video. His channel's cool. He only talks about indie games. He just put out a video about the game Haste, which is like gaining some popularity in indie circles right now because it just got released. So that game looks like a lot of fun. I don't know if I want to pay $20 for it. Based on the reviews that I've seen, it seems like it's got some minor things where I'm like, I'd probably pay 10 for that. Maybe not 20. We'll see. But it does look fun. So, but that's beside the point. Slippy's channel is great. Go check him out. If you like what we're doing here, where we talk about indie games, you'll like what Slippy's doing over there because he talks about nothing but indie games.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just seems really chill. And everything he talks about are like in our chords. So yeah, absolutely recommended. I agree.
Yep. And then second video I want to shout out is from a channel called Lady Knight the Brave. She's a video essayist. And this is a video called An Extremely Personal Lord of the Rings Retrospective. It's a 2-hour-long retrospective about the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's... I have to be honest. I listened to this video while I was at work, so like I have YouTube Premium, so I can just turn on something, turn my screen off, put it in my pocket. I listened to this because I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies so many times, and she's never on camera herself. So, like, anything that she was going to be talking about was either going to be from the Lord of the Rings movies, which I've seen an ungodly amount of times, or from the, like, anything else kind of related to Lord of the Rings, which would be the books, which I've read, or the animated movie from Bakshi, which I've also seen, or the other Return of the King animated movie, which I've also seen, or The Hobbit that was animated in 72, which I've also seen. So, like, I'm sure the video editing is great. It's not a disparage towards her at all. I just really wanted to hear her thoughts about Lord of the Rings, because she does great video work. I like her essays, and I ended up listening to this at work one day. And it's great. Her stuff's great. Go check her out.
Cool. I just added the Last of Us episode to my watch later.
Oh yeah, good. That one's good too.
Cool.
What was the first video I found of hers? Why don't you go ahead and tell us what your stuff is, and then I'm gonna let you know what the first video of hers was that I saw.
Okay. The first video I want to shout out, I don't remember if I actually talked about this guy yet on the podcast, but whatever. I'm going to shout out JJ McCullough. It's a YouTuber, a Canadian YouTuber from BC, and he mostly talks about culture and politics. Well, mostly politics, and he alternates between politics and culture, but he's really like a politically guy. He's involved, a politically involved guy. Like, he worked for TVs and magazines and newspapers, like doing actual political work, analysis and stuff. And the video I'm gonna shout out is how Canada's prime ministership works, because we're in the middle of an election right now, so we won't go into politics, but I think it's important to stay aware of those things. And he's really chill, and he really explains well how politics works between Canada and the States and everything, and having that kind of figure that can bring the political world to a much more simpler level for people like me that don't really, because it's complicated the way everything works. So just having someone explain it and go through the basic stuff and say, hey, that's how basically everything works in a concise format. It's really fun. He's just a cool guy. Like, when he's not talking politics, he's talking about like flags around the world, or the canons of how the most well-known like ice cream flavors became like the most known ice cream flavors that we see everywhere. So like history, culture, and stuff. It's super fun. It's really cool channel. Have you found your late night video? Okay.
I have. I don't know which one was actually the first one that I watched, because like that'd be going back like probably 3 or 4 years into like my watch history. But I went back to her channel, and the oldest video of hers that I have watched, and I don't remember if it was the first one that I watched, was a video about MASH, the TV show. It was called Lightning in the Bottle, a MASH video essay. I fucking love MASH. Man, that's such a great fucking TV show. So it was either that one or her video about Cowboy Bebop, which is my favorite anime.
About Video Kid, right?
No. Fuck you.
I'm just trolling.
Yeah.
All right. The second video I want to shout out is one that you also wanted to shout out, and for great reasons. Stop Skeletons from Fighting came back from dormancy. I think he hadn't released a video in a full year, and the video is 16-player Faceball and how he actually managed to make this work, and it was really complicated, and it's just the whole history of that Game Boy game supposedly has a 16-player mode. Was that actually true? Can you actually make that happen with real hardware? That's like that full story with interviews and collaborators, and it's just a really fun video. The video is freaking 2 hours long, and I was engaged for the full 2 hours. It was a super video, and yeah, I'm just glad that Uncle Derek is back with great videos, and I can't wait to see what will happen next on his channel. I love Stop Skeleton from Fighting. It's the only YouTuber I actually bought merch for. In the past, I have a Stop Skeleton from Fighting t-shirt, and yeah, love that channel.
Yeah, so I remember when I was in high school and watching Derek's videos as the happy video game nerd.
Yeah, same.
And because I was watching him alongside at the same time as watching, the angry video game nerd. And then when I fell out of the internet sphere for a while, when I came back and started watching when I came back to gaming and started watching a bunch of gaming YouTube again, he was one of the channels that I found. And as I was watching, I was like, this guy looks really familiar. And then I went back through his channel history and I was like, oh, holy fuck, he's still doing this? But
yeah. Yeah, he never stopped. He just rebranded.
Yep.
Yeah.
This might be the best video he's ever put out.
Yeah, absolutely. He did great stuff in the past, but this one, wow, it's a masterpiece. He won't top that for a while. It was a really awesome project. And I have a fine... Yeah. What do you want to say?
No, that was it. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Cool. I have a final shout out. I shouldn't really be shouting this out, but I will shout it out anyway. While I work, I started listening to a channel called NESTALGIA, and it's a guy. I think it's a guy. I don't know. It's a person putting up playlist of video games, but they run through the video game music through an AI to change the style of those tracks, and he does Mexican style Pokemon Yellow playlist, Japanese city pop Mega Man 2 playlist, and I know it's AI, it's kind of a slop kind of channel, but dang, he does such a great job picking the tracks, picking the themes, doing the Photoshop, doing the video editing. I see that it's not just I see that there's actual effort to put something that's good using the AI. So, and ultimately, it's still just like video game music. You can still listen to the real tracks on the internet. So, I feel a bit bad for shouting out something that's heavily AI based, but for real, there are a lot of great banger tracks that it's just fun to listen to and relive those songs in a different way. Some of the Japanese city pop music that have actual Japanese lyrics on top of them are just so freaking good. Yeah. So if you want to listen to familiar video game music with a twist, I can recommend NESTALGIA. But if you don't want to support this guy because he's using AI, I fully understand. But I see the effort behind it, and I can appreciate what he does.
Okay. Good stuff. And if you would like to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or topics of discussion, you can email us at thetrashstation@gmail.com.
Please, Rob, we're missing you. And we would also like to thank Heath Aldrich for our intro and outro music. You can find a link to all his music on his Bandcamp page on 8aldrich.bandcamp.com.
And we would like to thank Rainbow Savvy Designs for our logo. Links to both their works will be available in the show notes. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/scotchandhobbies. I stream normally every Monday and Wednesday around 5 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find me on social media if you want at Scotch and Hobbies.
And if you want to play some of my games, you can check my itch.io page at potomax.itch.io. Otherwise, you can see what I'm playing on Blue Sky at Potomax. And if you speak French, I have a ton of videos on the good old YouTube at youtube.com/jeuxbière.
And you can find the show at Trash Station Pod on Blue Sky.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, and have a wonderful night.
You too, Max.